Hey guys, it's Corinne here from It's So Corinne, and I am so excited that you are here for today's tutorial. Now before we begin, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the It's So Corinne YouTube channel so you get alerts when I make new videos, just like this. And if you would like to see other sewing, crochet, and craft tutorials with step-by-step instructions and snag free printable patterns, be sure to visit my blog at itssocorinne.com. So are you ready to begin? Then let's go make something amazing. For today's tutorial, we will be making this super cute crochet pig pincushion, which is super cute with his little curly tail and his little legs, but is also super functional because it holds your pins. So to make him, you need a few supplies. The first supply is cotton yarn, and this one is Hobby Lobby's in-house brand Crafter's Secret, which I'm in love with, and it is a weight category of 4. And the reason I chose cotton for this project is because cotton tends to be a little bit sturdier, and we wanted the pig to stand up on his own and also be able to stick pins into him. Next on the list is a bee crochet hook, which is a 2.25 millimeter hook. Then you are going to need a stitch marker because we will be crocheting the pig in the round, so we need to mark the first stitch of every round. The next is 2 6 millimeter safety eyes so he can have his little eyes in his little face. And then you are going to need a yarn needle so you can sew on your parts and also finish off the pig. And then lastly, you are going to need some sort of stuffing. Now I use stuffing out of pillows that I buy cheap at like Black Friday and whatnot, but you can use any type of stuffing in him, and you don't need very much because he's not very big. So once you have gathered your supplies, we are ready to begin the pig pincushion. To begin the pig pincushion, we are going to insert 6 single crochets into a magic ring. So there's our first one. So we just need to mark that so we know that it's our first one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we are just going to pull on the tail of the magic ring to tighten it up. And I don't like to tighten it too much in the first round, otherwise it makes it super hard to work the next round. So at the end of round 1, you will have 6 stitches. So for the next round, round 2, we are going to place a single crochet into the back loop only, which means you are going to insert your hook into the back loop of the stitch. You're going to pull through, and then you're going to finish off. So we're going to do that for the first stitch. We're going to put our stitch marker in. And then the next stitch, here's stitch 2, so you're going to insert it into the back loop only. So that's stitch 2. And then for stitch 3, we are going to be doing an increase in the back loop only. So you're going to insert it, and the increase is just, oh, it went in between the fibers. An increase is just 2 stitches into 1. And my stitch marker just fell out. That's okay. I know it's right here. So we are going to continue that around. We're going to do a single in the back loop only in the next stitch, a single into the next stitch in the back loop only, and then an increase. And then when you get to the end of round 2, you will have 8 stitches. So that is round 2. And then once you get to round 2, you can pull your magic ring tighter. So that way, here, let me pull that a little bit bigger, so that way I don't lose it. You're going to pull your magic ring tighter, but don't pull too tight because you can pop the yarn, and then you'd have to start over if it's too short. But see how I've closed up the hole of the magic ring, so that way it's closer. And you can see, because we've done in the back loop only, it's creating this ridge. So this is his nose, and then this is his snout right here. So once you have completed round 2, we can move on to round 3. Okay, let me just move that out of my way. For round 3, we will be adding a single crochet into every stitch of the previous round. So you just want to add a single crochet into every stitch of the previous round, and we will be going through both loops for this round, not just the back loop only. So just continue into each one of the 8 stitches of the previous round, a single crochet. After you have completed round 3, you will have 8 stitches, and as you can see, his little snout is starting to form. Super cute. For round 4, we will be adding an increase into each stitch of the previous round. So like I said earlier, an increase is just 2 stitches into the 1 stitch of the previous round. So there's 1 and there's 2, and then we're just going to continue that into the next stitch. We're going to put 2, 1, 2, and then just add an increase into each of those stitches from the previous round. At the end of round 4, you will have 16 stitches. For round 5, we are going to be putting a single crochet into the first stitch, add in our stitch marker, and then you're going to add an increase into the next stitch. So you would just continue that all the way around, a single crochet into the next stitch, and then a increase into the next stitch. At the end of round 5, you will have 24 stitches. For round 6, we are going to be single crocheting into every stitch of the previous round. So you're just going to add a single crochet into each stitch from round 5. At the end of round 6, you will have 24 stitches, and once you finish round 6, this is when you want to put in your safety eyes. So I put my safety eyes on the opposite side of where I start each round. So obviously that's down here where my marker is. And so we are going to put the eyes in between rounds 4 and 5. So we just finished 6. So this is 6, there's 5, so this is 4. So you're gonna put it in this itty bitty little goalie, like right here. And so what I do is I just put one on one side of the nose, and then I count over 5 stitches and then put the other one. Now, if you insert your eyes, see, I don't have my backs on yet, but if you insert your eyes and you don't like where they are, that's fine. You can move them anywhere you want. If you want your eyes to be higher or lower or closer or further, that is totally your choice. But you needed to make that decision before you put on the backs, because once you put on the backs, you can get the eyes out of your yarn by frogging and undoing your stitches, but you've wasted the eyes. You can't use them again once the backs have been put on. So you want to make sure about placement, and then you want to put your backs on, and then we are ready to begin the next round. For round 7 through 13, we are going to be single crocheting into each stitch of the previous round. So, oops, I picked up part of it. So we're just going to add a single crochet into each stitch of the previous round for rounds 7 through 13. So every round from 7 to 13 will end up with 24 stitches. At the end of round 13, you will have 24 stitches. For round 14, we are going to insert a single crochet into each of the first 2 stitches. So that's my 1, and then 2, and then we are going to insert a invisible decrease into the next 2 stitches. So we are going to make 2 stitches into 1, and you do that by inserting your hook through the front loop of the first stitch, then inserting your hook under the front loop of the second stitch. So see, we have both of them on here, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through both those stitches, and you yarn over and finish your stitch. And then you're going to continue that pattern. You're going to do a single crochet single crochet, and then an invisible decrease all the way around. At the end of round 14, you will have 18 stitches. For round 15, you're going to insert a single crochet into the first stitch, and then you're going to insert a invisible decrease into the next 2 stitches, making 2 stitches into 1. And you're going to repeat that around. You're going to do a single crochet, and then you're going to do an invisible decrease. At the end of round 15, you will have 12 stitches. And as you can see, his body is almost complete. So this is the round, after you finish round 15, where you want to stuff your pig. And you want to stuff him very, very full. And you want to make sure that you shove stuffing into his little snout, so that way his snout can be full too. So you just want to keep on stuffing until you have it like as stuffed as possible, because we are going to shove pins into him, so you don't want it to be like squishy. At least I like my pin cushions super sturdy. So stuff it to a point that you like. But I know on the last one I stuffed him like super full, and I think he was the perfect stuffiness. So I'm just going to stuff this in, and then we can go to the last round of the pig's body. Okay, put all of this in. Okay, so for the last round, which is round 16, we will be doing invisible decreases. So you just want to take out your stitch marker, and just like we did in the other rounds, you're going to insert your hook into the front loop of the first stitch, and then insert your hook into the front loop of the second stitch, and then yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, and that's your stitch. So you're going to continue that all the way around, invisible decreases. At the end of round 16, you will have 6 stitches, and as you can see, it's teeny tiny, which is exactly what we want. So you're going to take your stitch marker out. We are going to finish up his little booty. You're going to cut a long piece of yarn, and you pull that out. And what we're going to do is load up our yarn needle, and we are going to sew his little booty shut. So what you want to do is go through the front loop of each one of the last stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, lost my yarn. And I like to pull the yarn slightly as I'm doing this, when I do this, because I feel like it gives it a smoother bottom in the end. So I like to pull a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go through our last one, and then gently pull your yarn, and I like to smush the booty as I'm doing it. You don't want to pull your yarn too tight, because you could snap your yarn, this piece, and then you'd have to frog out your stitches, and it's a mess. Trust me. So after I do that, I shove it through the center of the hole, and then I come out the side, and then take my needle off, and then I pull it again, and I push the booty down as I'm doing it with gentle pressure. And see how flat that is? You take your nail and swish it down too. But see how flat his little booty is? So that is what we want. And so I'm going to tie a knot into my yarn, and then load the yarn back onto my needle. And then I'm going to go back through the exact same hole I came out of, so you don't see my stitch. And then I'm just going to come out somewhere else and pull it until the knot goes in. And you're going to pull this yarn pretty tight, and you're going to cut. And and you're gonna play with the body and it should pop in. And if it doesn't, you can just use the end of your needle and shove it in. And then there is the body. The body is complete, and we can set that aside while it waits the other parts. To make the feet, you're going to insert 6 single crochets into a magic ring. That's 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, once you have your 6 single crochets, you can pull on the magic ring tail and pull it together. But of course you don't want to close it too much or it's going to be super hard to do the next round. So I like to leave a hole. And then for round 2, we will be inserting a single crochet into each of the 6 stitches from the previous round. So the feet are really easy to make. Here's my first one. And if it starts rolling on you as you're crocheting, that's totally okay. It's just because we're using such a small hook with this thicker yarn. But that is perfectly okay. So once you get your 6 done, what you can do is gently roll your piece back down. So I like to take my crochet hook and put it in the back of it and then just gently roll the foot back down till it looks like a little cup. See how it looks like a little cup? Isn't that cute? And then once you have that done, you can see that there's still a hole in my foot. So I'm going to find the magic ring tail, which is a short tail, and I'm going to tug on it, but you don't want to tug on it too much because then you could snap it and then you have to remake the entire foot. So that is not fun, y'all. So once you have tugged on it, you see my hole has closed up. It's super cute. This foot just needs a slip stitch and then we are done with it. So you're going to put it back on your hook. And then we are going to slip stitch it to the first stitch of the round. Here we go. And then this foot is complete. All we need to do is cut a long tail for sewing. You pull this through and then you make 3 more just like that and you will have 4 feet, and then you can set those aside as we make the other parts. To make the tail for the pig, we are going to chain 6. And then we are going to single crochet into each stitch from the chain. So what we're going to do is you're going to count 1, 2 over from the hook, and you're going to insert a single crochet. And then you're going to keep doing that all the way down. You're going to do a crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain, and then single crochet into the last chain. Oops. Alright. Like so. And then we are going to play with it, and you can make it roll to make it into a super cute little curly tail. As you can see, it's just a little curl. So once you have finished your tail, you can cut a long tail on the tail for sewing, and then you can pull your yarn through. And then you can set that aside while we make the other parts. To make the ears for the pig, you are going to chain 4. And then in the second chain from the hook, you are going to single crochet. So there's your single crochet. And then you are going to insert your hook into the last chain of the stitch, and you are going to slip stitch that together. And then there is your little ear. It's so cute. And then what you want to do is leave a long tail for sewing. And we can pull this out. And then you're going to repeat that for the second ear. Once you have all of your little piggy parts made, it's time to assemble him. So what you want to do is grab one of your ears and take the long end, the long side of the yarn, and we are going to put this in between rows 6 and 7. So that's where we're going to sew our ears. So obviously we put our eyes right here between 4 and 5. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. So what we're going to do is I'm going to insert my needle right even with the eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my ears, and then I'm going to decide if I like where they're at, and then sew them on. So once that is in, see how it's even with the eye? We're going to take the short side and load that onto our yarn needle. And then I'm going to insert that into the stitch right beside it. And then I'm going to do this for both my ears before I completely sew it on, because I want to make sure that they're exactly where I want them to be. So there's the first ear, and I can already tell I love where it's placed. So we're going to do the same thing with the other ear. But this time we're going to start with the short side yarn, the shorter length. And then we're going to do the same. Here's the eye. So I'm just going to go into the row between 6 and 7. So it's right there. I'm going to put I'm going to put this one through. And then that is, well, I don't like where that's at. So we're going to go one up for this guy. Sometimes I like to put my needle where it goes first before I load it up. And then load up your yarn into it. I'll see what this looks like. Okay. See if I like the placement on that. And I do. See how it's like even with the eye? Of course you can put your ears anywhere you want. This is just where I like to put them. And then I'm going to take the long end and put it into the stitch right beside it. And then play with it. You might have to play with his head because we just shove the needle into it. So I like where those are at. So I'm just going to take these long tails and put it back through, and then I'm going to stitch it down a few times, and then I'm going to finish off this yarn so that way, and hide the ends inside of his little piggy body. Once you have finished sewing on his ears, you can go ahead and roll them down. Look how cute. Now he has little folded over ears. It's so cute. And we can go on to the next step, which is the feet. So the front set of the feet are going to be sewn on starting at round 7. So we put the ears at between 6 and 7. So this is round 7. So this is where I would start the front butt. And really you want to play around with these. I like to pin all of them. I like to pin all of them so that way I can see if the pig is going to stand the way I want them to, because obviously we want the pig to stand because that's the whole point of having a pin cushion. So there's the first two pinned, and you might have to arrange the pins in such a way that you can see if he will stand or not. Okay, so for the back set, so those were at 7. So we're going to do the back ones at round 12. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is where my back feet would start. So I'm just going to pin them. And then once I have all 4 of them pinned on, I'm going to play with my pig. And I'm going to adjust his feet to make sure that he can stand up. Okay, so they're all pinned on. I think this one's back too far. I can just tell by looking at it. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my pig. That looks pretty good. I might need some adjustments once I start sewing them on. But once you have them pinned and you like how your pig is standing when you play with it, then you can go ahead and sew all of the feet on. Once you have finished sewing his little legs on, it is time to sew on his tail. So I like to put his tail between rows 15 and 16 or somewhere thereabouts. But you can pretty much sew it anywhere you want. You just look at his little booty, and I would try to center it between his ears, but anywhere you want it is fine. So I'm just going to pin it right here so you can see. So I'm just going to sew his little tail right here, and I would put both sides into his little body. So I would want this first short side and put it into here so you don't have to sew it into the tail. And then we could just put a knot into this one, and then hide it inside of his little body, and then use this long one to sew it through it and then into his little body. And then once you have his tail done, he will be all complete. Once you have your tail sewn onto your pig body, all you have to do is add your straight pins, and then he's ready to be used. I love this pig so much because he is super cute, super easy to make, and super functional. If you like this tutorial, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the It's So Karenni YouTube channel so that way you get alerts when I make videos just like this. And be sure to visit me at my blog at itssokarenni.com. So until next time, go make something amazing.